There is money sitting in your bank account right now. You put it there. You left it there. You did exactly what you were told to do. Save your money. Be responsible. Don't blow it on things you don't need. And here is the part nobody tells you. Every single day that money sits there, it is worth slightly less than the day before. Not because the number changed. The number is fine. The number looks great. It might even be going up. But the thing that number can actually buy you, that is quietly, steadily, invisibly shrinking. You are not saving money. You are watching it dissolve in slow motion while the bank sends you a notification that says, your account is doing great. This is not a conspiracy. It is not a glitch. It is exactly how the system was designed to work. And once you understand the mechanism, you will never look at a savings account the same way again. Let's start with a number, $1,000. Simple. Clean. You save $1,000 in 1990 and you put it in a savings account. That account pays you roughly 5% interest per year, which sounds decent. Money making money. The dream. Fast forward to 2026. Your $1,000, with interest compounding over 35 years, has grown to somewhere around $5,000. You quadrupled your money. You did nothing and you made $4,000. That is the pitch. That is what savings accounts are sold as. Now here is what actually happened. In 1990, $1,000 could buy about $2,300 worth of goods in today's money. Meaning, when you put that cash in the bank in 1990, you weren't depositing $1,000 of real value. You were depositing $2,300 of purchasing power, your $5,000 payout in 2026? In real terms, adjusted for what things actually cost, it is worth roughly that same amount. Maybe a little more. Maybe a little less depending on what you are buying. You waited 35 years, you made almost nothing in real terms. And that was during a period when savings accounts actually paid reasonable interest. Now look at what happened after 2008. For most of the 2010s, the Federal Reserve held interest rates near zero. Not low. Near zero. Banks responded by cutting savings account rates to match. The national average dropped to around 0.06%. That is not 6%. That is 0.06%. During that same period, inflation averaged roughly 2 to 2.5% per year. So the math looked like this. You deposit $10,000. After 1 year the bank pays you $6. Meanwhile, inflation quietly erodes $200 of your purchasing power. You are up $6 and down $200. Net result, you lost about $194 in real value. You didn't spend anything. You didn't make a single bad decision. You just saved responsibly and came out behind. This went on for over a decade. And here is the part that should make you stop and sit with that for a second. The people who designed this knew exactly what it would do. Keeping rates low was not an accident. It was a deliberate policy tool to stimulate borrowing, to push money into markets, to discourage people from hoarding cash. Penalizing savers was a feature, not a bug. Now let's talk about inflation itself. Because most people think of inflation like a weather event. It just happens. Prices go up, wages eventually follow, life goes on. But inflation is not random. It is the gradual erosion of what your currency is worth, and it compounds just like interest does, except it works against you. Here is an illustration. Take $100 in 1970. To buy the same basket of goods that $100 bought in 1970, you would need over $750 today. The dollar did not collapse. There was no crisis moment. No single year where everything fell apart. It just quietly lost about 90% of its purchasing power over 50 years, one invisible percentage point at a time. The reason this matters for savings accounts specifically is that savings accounts are denominated in dollars. You are not holding a commodity. You are not holding something with intrinsic value. You are holding a promise from the government that these digits represent something real. And the government can, and regularly does, expand the supply of those digits. Every time it does, every dollar that exists, including yours, is worth fractionally less. This is not scaremongering. This is the design. The system is built to have mild, persistent inflation. Central banks have an explicit target, 2% per year. They announce it. It is policy. And 2% sounds tiny until you apply it over decades and realize that the goal, the stated goal, is for your money to be worth half of what it is today in roughly 35 years. Now rates did go back up. By 2023 and into 2024, high-yield savings accounts were offering 4, 4.5%, sometimes even 5%. People got excited. Finance influencers told everyone to move their cash. It felt like savers were finally being rewarded, and they were, briefly. But here is the context that got lost in the excitement. Inflation during that same period had spiked to 9% in 2022. Even when rates normalized to around 3% in 2023, you were still often running close to break-even in real terms. A high-yield account was not building wealth. It was slowing the bleed. And here is the other thing. Those rates are not guaranteed. They move with the Federal Reserve. The moment the Fed cuts rates, and they always eventually cut rates, those 4 and 5% accounts start quietly drifting back toward 1, toward 0.5%, toward the long uncomfortable average. The bank does not call you. You do not get a warning. The rate just changes in fine print and your money goes back to dissolving. So let's zoom out. Because this is not really a story about savings accounts. It is a story about a fundamental asymmetry in how the financial system treats different types of people. If you have money and you know how to deploy it into assets, into equities, into real estate, into anything that tends to hold or grow value faster than inflation, the system works for you. Your wealth compounds. You get richer in real terms even while sitting still. If you have money and you keep it in cash, in a savings account, in anything purely denominated in currency, the system works against you. Your wealth erodes. You get poorer in real terms even while sitting still. The cruel irony is that the people most likely to keep money in savings accounts are the people who can least afford to lose it. People saving for emergencies. People who are cautious because they have been burned before. People who were told their whole lives that saving was the responsible thing to do. And it is responsible. For emergencies, for short-term goals, for liquidity, savings accounts make sense. That part is real. But treating a savings account as a long-term wealth-building strategy is not being cautious. It is accepting a guaranteed slow loss while feeling like you are being smart. There is also a psychological dimension to this that almost never gets discussed. When your savings account number goes up, your brain registers that as progress. You have more than you had before. The number is bigger. The dopamine fires. You feel financially responsible. You feel ahead. But the number is not what matters. What matters is what the number can buy. And that relationship is invisible on your banking app. Nobody shows you the inflation-adjusted balance. Nobody sends you a notification that says, you now have $12,000, but that is the equivalent of $11,400 in last year's money. They show you the raw number and let your brain do the rest. This is not malicious on the part of your bank. They are not cackling in a boardroom. It is just that showing you the real number would not be great for customer retention. Here is where this lands. The savings account is not evil. It is not a scam in the traditional sense. It is a tool, and like most tools, its value depends entirely on how you use it and whether you understand its limits. The problem is not that savings accounts exist. The problem is the story we have built around them. But if the savings account is the whole strategy, the actual result, over years and decades, is that you worked hard, spent carefully, delayed gratification, and ended up approximately where you started in terms of real purchasing power. Or worse. Which leaves a question worth sitting with. If saving in cash is a slow loss and investing carries risk, and inflation is the official stated policy of every major central bank in the world, what exactly is the right move for someone who is not wealthy enough to absorb a big market loss but also not wealthy enough to keep absorbing the guaranteed smaller losses that come with playing it safe? That question does not have a clean answer. The people who sell you clean answers are usually selling something. But it starts with understanding what your savings account actually is. Not a place where money is safe. A place where money is liquid. Those are not the same thing. And the sooner you stop treating them as the same thing, the sooner you can start asking better questions about what you actually want your money to do. If you want more videos on wealth, personal finance and financial secrets, please like, Subscribe and turn on the notification bell.